And you're saying then, when that plan is complete, then that would come back?
Absolutely.
Okay.
There might be things in it that you support and things in it that you can't support.
Mhm. Thank you. Very good. Thank you.
Yes, I still am similar to Mr. Browning. I can't quite get my head around it because we keep talking about it as an it, you know. Can you give me some ideas of what the projects might be?
So if you go back on that website that I was talking about, the Fort Myers area has a plan that they put together that has the master plan, has the DDA plan, but then it has an overlay of, here's what we'd like to see. We'd like to take this corridor, maybe bring in higher education, maybe have an area where we want hotels and restaurants. You know, how does this fit in with some of the other developments that she's talking about? How can we augment what the Bodners are doing with the Bancroft and Eddy? How can we take advantage of CMU College of Medicine coming into the area? So it's providing that vision. So if a developer comes in and looks at that plan and says, boy, you know, I'd be really interested in bringing a restaurant, but I have to see what else you're planning, that the city's planning for that area, because no one wants to come in and have a single development. They want to make sure that there's a vision for the whole area to move forward. And I don't speak for you, but
No, that's good.
I would
Okay.
love to have that plan to hand to developers.
Councilman Cruz.
Mrs. McKinney, can we go back to the Cal Ripken? Did you have a study done on that?
Yes, I did.
What were the results?
When you speak of what were the results, what do you mean by that, sir?
Well, you obviously, either you or Cal Ripken probably did a study, and I would assume it'd be a feasibility study. Am I correct?
You're correct.
What was the outcome of that study?
You mean whether the Ripken would be willing to come here through the study?
Whether it was feasible or not feasible?
Oh, it was feasible,
It was feasible?
yes.
What was the estimated cost of that project?
It's about $16 million.
60 or 16?
16.
$16 million. And is that, are those monies that Cal Ripken is ready to put up?
We're going through our funding plan right now. We don't have all the details to that at this point. We are working on our funding plan.
So then, Cal Ripken is not going to build this?
Cal Ripken is involved with the building of this facility.
He's involved, he's not going to build this structure, is he? Or this complex?
He won't be the builder. He'll be on the design team, but he won't be the builder. Hopefully, we'll have local builders on that project.
Let me ask you a little simpler question. Is Cal Ripken going to pay for this enterprise, or are we looking for money to pay for this enterprise?
We're raising money to pay for this enterprise right now.
So Cal Ripken's input on this is after somebody else comes up with the money, they step in for a fee and operate it.
Let
Is
me
that
tell
about
you
the way
this.
this functions?
The Cal Ripken does not make a lot of money. You know why we have them coming is for the economic impact. I can show you the performance. The job, it does it, it's the economic impact, you guys. In Myrtle Beach, he brings $60 million to that community. In Aberdeen, Maryland, which is very similar to Saginaw, he brings $27 million. So for us, when we were looking for projects, we were looking for things that would pay for themselves and go beyond and bring dollars from outside this community, not dollars come from the east side, the west side, or the north side, from 3 to 6 hours away, where families come in here every weekend, 3,000 people, and spend their money to help the economy here in Saginaw. So when you talk about the Ripken facility, it's the economic impact. When you talked about who's going to fund it, we've already done tax studies of what it brings to the table to the state. We've done studies of who all is going to be winners in this thing. And when you talk about economic development, being able to get a dollar from outside this community to come in here is enormous. We should be very we should be very happy. Ripken only has 2 facilities in the United States, and they're extremely well. One's 9 years old, and the other's 5. And they run at a level of excellence. I've spoken with their city manager. I've spoken with their mayors of these cities, and I've spoken with their Chamber of Commerce, and they are so ecstatic about what Ripken brings to the table. At the end of the day, with the ability to bring that kind of economic impact to this community, and it pays for itself, how many projects come in here and do that? Creates jobs, and then it spurs other economic development, because now we have to have hotels. How many hotels have been sustained here in the city of Saginaw? Ripken can sustain 2 hotels through this study. It's been proven that he can sustain up to 2 hotels in the city of Saginaw.
Could we kind of get back to the basics, please?
Okay.
Uh,
Yes.
Rifkin is not going to pay, excuse me, Cal Ripken is not going to pay, that organization is not going to pay for the construction of this enterprise, are they?
He does put funding toward the event, as he's done in his other.
So, simply put, you are looking for money, or you're looking for investors to build this enterprise. And when you do build it, Rifkin will come in and for a fee, operate it. Am I correct in that assumption?
He would come in here and operate, and he will maintain it, and you will be the winner of it at the end of the day.
But what we're here to talk about tonight isn't that project.
Well, she brought up the,
Yes.
brought up the project, and as long as it's on
Well,
the
I
table.
didn't bring it up. Councilman Braddock brought up the project. I
Well, then,
stayed
I'll-
to the fact of the
Yeah.
I
of the
stand
charrette.
corrected. I'll blame.
And actually, and the
Councilman
Ripken people will be here on August the 27th. You're more than happy to come and talk to
for
them.
that. But let's go back to the word charrette.
Okay.
As I look up the definition, it involves architects, general public, the community, the community government agencies, and developers to get together and devise a design. And I would assume that means that you are expecting to build something, and you're asking the community for input as to what that design should look like in their community. Now, maybe I'm wrong in reading this, and the bottom of this one paragraph says, compare this item to a workshop. So in essence, what you are trying to do now is create a workshop to come up with a plan. Am I correct?
It is a workshop.
The workshop is to create a plan.
Correct. You're correct
All right.
on that.
Do you have a plan in mind? Do you have any inkling of a plan in mind?
No, I don't. I'm not a developer, so no, I don't.
You're not, okay. Now, this is where I have a problem.
Okay.
If you were to come to me for support, and you did with the Planning Commission, and I'm sorry I missed the first part of that presentation, I was a little confused. And my question is, what is it that I'm approving? What plan? Usually on the Planning Commission, we have input from the public, we have site plans to review, and there's something concrete to go on. I'm having difficulty finding some concrete to put my feet on here.
Well, that's because you're not supporting the plan. You're supporting the process.
The process, I understand that, and I've heard this. I've heard this. I've heard the word process.
What you're being asked to support isn't a plan in the way that the Planning Commission ordinarily
That's
approves of
correct.
things. What you're being asked to support is the idea of doing this process.
I've heard that.
Yeah, and anything that comes out of that, it ultimately comes to the Planning Commission.
I've heard that. Now, the cost of this process comes from where?
What do you mean by the cost of? You mean the payment
Well,
of it?
this exercise is going to cost money. First of all these documents that we picked up from the city, there's been an imposition on the city staff and time to put this out. Who's going to pay for the charrette?
Well, I'm very sad that you think that us doing something positive is an imposition for the city, but I've written all the checks myself for everything that we've
You've
done.
written out a check.
And I'm going to
Okay.
continue to write them
And
because I
your
believe
check
in the
is gonna cover
process.
your check.
Hold on. because I believe in the process and I believe in the people in the city of Saginaw. So I'm willing to put my money where my mouth is because I believe in the people and they need to be involved with this planning process. So I'm willing to write the check again.
I understand your passion about believing in people, but you are going to pay for the charrette.
I've paid for the training thus far, and I'm
Okay.
willing to pay for the shred. And I'll say
What
that
is the
again.
next step of expenses that you might incur during this process?
The next step is going to be the actual shred itself. I just paid for the training that we brought NCI in here for about 3 weeks ago, so that was part of that also. But there's always costs because we have meetings where we have just general costs. But the next step will be the actual payment for the charrette itself, whether it's materials, whether it's getting people in here on flights, whether it's hotels, whatever it takes to get the job done.
Where would that money come from to initiate the second step?
I'm going to write the check.
You must have a nice checking account.
That is, I'm not asking you about yours, and what that is about mine.
No,
Is it difficult to believe that I have the money to do that? Is that the
oh,
problem?
you
I
have
don't-
the
I
right
don't-
to do anything you want. You can spend your money any way you want.
Thank you.
I'm sure people welcome it. I don't find any fault with that.
Thank you.
Nothing personal.
Okay.
It's just that when you ask me for support, I want to see something concrete, like I said, that I can put my feet on. And I don't see a plan. You talked about the downtown area, and I don't know where people are aware of what's going on, but the Bancroft Hotel is already in motion.
I think, Councilman Flores, what we'll do is bring you back an overview of what the process involves.
I think I'm pretty good understanding of the process.
And hopefully we can engage council members in that process. We're really, I think if it would have been the Chamber or Saginaw Future or the DDA that came in front of you and said, hey, we're all working together, we're trying to put together an updated plan for downtown that we can all work with to help bring development in, there probably wouldn't be any questions. But when we have a person that is bringing the resources to the table that has done it before, that's willing to lead it, there's a lot of questions because it's a little different than what we're used to. So why don't we come back to you with a document that shows you what we're doing, maybe answers a few more questions, and hopefully you can decide to support the process.
I appreciate that, but I'm still concerned. You mentioned the DDA. If the DDA is in accord with all this, why am I getting calls from DDA members complaining about it?
Well, then there must be some more communication that
There's a disconnect
needs-
somewhere,
Oh, excuse me,
and I'd like
sir.
to know where that disconnect is.
Then there needs to be some more communication with the DDA because there are letters of support from the DDA for the project.
There was a letter, because I have the letter here. But then again, when I get calls from DDA members pertaining to this, I don't understand. I just don't understand how part of the DDA can support, and then other members call me up and tell me they're not in support of it.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, the DDA voted unanimously to support
They
the
did?
project. Yes, yes, it did. So if there are
Maybe-
DDA members calling with concerns about it, then they either didn't vote honestly or they weren't there to vote.
Thank you very much,
Councilman O'Neill?
and I do take this serious.
Pardon?
I say I do take this serious in case you think I don't. But thank you.
Councilman.
Mr. Mayor. A lot of my questions have been answered. So basically, and Joanne, your comment, your last comment, I think really sums it up in terms of, bringing back information. I think would be helpful to include more council members. I know I was invited one meeting I wasn't able to attend. I think I maybe spoke to you a couple times. But just to be aware of what you're doing. And the fact, I hope you're not taking it as a opposition of a private investor coming in to support the city. I think that's admirable, and we want that. Okay, so we welcome that. Okay, you indicated you had a 7-person planning or steering committee already in place, and they've met several times, sounds like. So there's a lot of activity is already going on. Correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
The seven-person committee was specifically for the Ripken project. I think
Okay.
we have about a 40-person committee that's on the steering committee for the actual charrette
Okay,
planning
so there's a
process itself.
40-person committee.
It's about 35, 40 people. Yeah, they've been pretty active in the last
Okay.
couple of weeks.
And how often does that committee meet, that 40-member? Is it a monthly meeting or
After the
bi-weekly
training,
meeting?
that group agreed to meet on a weekly basis, and then it'll go monthly after this month.
Okay.
And if you would like a list of the members, we can we'd be more than happy to provide that to you, and there's minutes taken. And we have people from the county that are on that committee, people from the city, local businesses. We're a very well diverse group of individuals that
You
sit
have
on
members
those
of
committees.
council? Any members?
We've invited council, we've invited everyone to
Any
everything
member?
that we've done. So,
Is there
yeah.
any member that have attended regularly
no.
from council?
Oh, no, Mayor,
I've
Mayor Branch
been
has.
semi-regularly.
Okay.
he's been to
Okay,
a few of
okay.
them.
That's good. Well, I'm very interested in getting some communication. We support your effort. I mean, it sounds like you just want a verbal support of that. Hey, you want us to say, hey, go for it?
That's it.
Sounds like it, basically,
A resolution to that effect. I
or a
think.
resolution,
Yes.
okay.
That's it,
Just say,
correct.
go forward, and you're working with our economic development arm, okay, in total concert, and our DDA. So I would say go for it,
Thank you,
okay?
Councilman
Mr.
O'Neill.
Mayor Potem?
Yeah, thank you. And thank you very much. This is very enlightening, and you've really answered a lot of my concerns with this. I'm quite excited about this. Of the 40-member team that you put together on them, large majority are city residents or people who have businesses or investment in the city itself. Is that correct?
Yes,
Two-thirds? Am I? Is
All
that-
of them, they're all stakeholders that have a stake in the city, correct, at that level.
And more importantly, we got a number of city residents that not only have it, that live within the city itself, besides maybe just having a business here, they would also be involved.
We
in
have
this.
quite a few city residents and downtown residents also sitting on that committee, correct.
Well, thank you very much. I'm more in favor of this project now since I've heard from you than I was before.
Thank
Because
you.
we are getting information that's flowing here and
Right.
concerns, and certainly have answered those for me, so
Agreed.
thank you very much. I look forward to that resolution.
Great, thank you.
Councilman Braddock?
I said early on, before you even got up there, that I support the project. Probably know a little bit more about it than most people, but the fact is, you're better than I am because I would just do it. I wouldn't be asking for counsel. But then, too, I understand why, because the state and federal governments do look at a community being cohesive and collaborative and cooperative. And I, too, got calls from DDA members, but I didn't see any legitimacy to their concerns. So the fact is, why wouldn't we do it? Why would somebody who grew up here, who has a business someplace else, come back and spend their money to try to help this community a better place? Now, yes, there's a lot going on downtown. There's a whole lot going on downtown. But that's not the end of the development. That's just the beginning. And so we want to grow to a point where we can have a hotel downtown, because I don't know of any city our size that doesn't have a hotel downtown. But I know why. Because the hotel that was down there was too large. I almost bought that hotel. And when I did my due diligence, I said, this thing is not sustainable. It's got too many rooms. You can never fill it up. There was a perception of crime. Even though it was not real, it was a perception. It was a legitimate perception. So I fully support what you're trying to do, and I understand what you're trying to do. So let's get it done. Thank you.
Councilman Wendt?
To our city manager, I'm a little confused. I don't see a resolution in front of us.
No, we don't have one drafted yet.
It's not drafted yet, so we're not voting on anything tonight?
No.
Okay, because I need to do a lot of due diligence in talking to a lot of people. Question number one, did the planning commission approve or say we approve of your, they did? Did the Riverfront Commission?
Riverfront, I'm not sure about.
We weren't asked to go, and when I approached Mr. Earley over a year ago, he said that he couldn't recommend anything to council unless we got DDA support and planning commission. So that was the avenue that we were instructed to take, to go in front of those two commissions and get approval or their support. So and that's what we've done. I've attended, several riverfront meetings, and John Humphreys, I've talked to him often, and he's very supportive of the process as an individual. The group itself, we've never presented as a whole.
Okay. Because I'm gonna be talking to a lot of people. Just as a member of council, I feel it's my right to make sure I talk to the stakeholders. You've listed some of the people that you have talked to, so I will make sure that happens, because are we expected something in front of us in 2 weeks?
I'm not sure, but Joanne mentioned, I think earlier, that you would go back and then bring something else back. Would you reiterate that for them in terms of how you would like to proceed?
We'll go back and get the information so that you understand what the planning process is about, and then we'll come in and work with the city manager on a council communication and a resolution to support the process.
Well, I would like that information before I receive that resolution. I'm just me. I'm only one person on council, so I cannot request how the process is, but I would like that respect to have that information and then come back and vote on it, because I don't like to work that way, and I've been forced to work that way in my 8 years here. I just prefer it not to happen that way. I prefer the information come to me, study it again, then and through this process, I will be talking to a lot of people just to make sure that, a couple people voted this way. They may not have been exactly what they wanted. I need to know why it was like that. It is what it is. I've learned in 8 years here, people say one thing, but then completely different in another way. So I'm going to get that information. I will fish that out just to make sure that process is done. Because I do have one concern, and that is your idea may not fit in, but your voice was heard. That is the quote I have here. That is my issue. This is America. Just because your idea, your entrepreneur, you want to start a business, if it doesn't fit in based on the process of what they're supposed to go through, if it's legal, if it's in with the master plan, stuff like that, and if that's what they want to do, then that's what they should do. If they have the money to construct, if they have the money to invest, and if it's an idea, fits in the zoning regulation, all the ordinances, then that's what they should be able to do, whether this group or any other entity agrees or not. I mean, I've seen a lot of things here, already built, constructed, come to us, oh yeah, we're going to have a parking lot here. Really? We're going to have another parking lot. So that's my issue. What I do like about it is getting everybody to the table, trying to come up with the ideas. I've been screaming for that for 8 years. I was on the Riverfront Commission. I'll just say I was disappointed, okay? And I'm disappointed in other entities, but if we can get everybody together, come up with ideas, corridors, everything that you can think of, bravo, let's do it, because it's needed for the city of Saginaw. I've been here, like I said, for 8 years, and we're still waiting for this tremendous economic boom. And let me tell you, we have the potential here in the city of Saginaw. Thank God for all the investors that we have right now that have risked their lives in terms of their financial lives, their family lives, to invest in the city of Saginaw when other people are saying no way. So I applaud them, and I applaud the effort. I just have so much more to look into this to even vote, and I appreciate a process that's more transparent, and then I'll be able to come up with a vote. Thank you.